Welcome to the War On Morons, where we speak truth to stupidity. I'm Jay.
And I'm Anisa.
And this is our first live show. So we're really excited to be going to this new format, audio only. This way we're not stuck in the studio. We aren't going to be constrained to time. We can actually talk to you guys and really cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, we're super excited about it. And with that being said, let's get started with our first story today. So it was in the news recently that South Dakota rolled out a new ad campaign. It reportedly cost the state $449,000, almost a cool $500,000, and it featured your everyday South Dakota citizens, kids on the basketball team, farmers, just your average ordinary citizens, with a campaign slogan that was supposed to be an anti-drug message. The message? Meth. We're on it.
To be fair, I mean, there's not a lot to do in South Dakota. If I was there, I'd probably be on meth too.
I mean, that's probably true, but at the same time, I don't think it's the message they were intending to send. Pretty stupid of them not to hire at least one proofreader.
Yeah, well, good luck finding somebody in South Dakota who can do any of that. That place is shitty.
Obviously not too shitty to spend $500,000 on a failed ad campaign. To be fair, the marketing coverage for this campaign is going off the charts. I'm sure they're getting a lot more publicity than they originally intended.
Hey, they're on it. It's working. Speaking of drugs, we've got a story from the Great White North with the wonderful Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. He's got another one of his brilliant ideas.
Oh, jeez.
According to Vancouver Mayor Kennedy Stewart, Trudeau is open to the idea of having the federal government fund the supply of heroin. Fund the supply of heroin to junkies in Vancouver.
Why limit it to just Vancouver? I mean, I don't see why the whole country shouldn't be giving out free heroin.
I mean, there's only 30 or 40 million people there. They can all be on heroin. They can afford it.
Absolutely. And then it's really easy for them to actually get people to vote exactly the way they want to.
Exactly. And we can't make this shit up. Vancouver actually applied for federal funding to the tune of $6 million. That's about 12 or 13 of those meth we're on it campaigns. $6 million so the city can distribute clinical grade heroin to opioid addicts. I mean, if you don't give them the heroin, they're just going to steal it.
Yeah, I mean, what better way to get people to stop doing drugs than to supply them with a never-ending free supply of the drug of choice?
Hey, at least they're, going to be clean or whatever.
Oh,
I mean, using clean hair, but they're not going to be clean.
They're not going to be clean.
Keeping the theme going, we've got a story out of, I want to say this one's out of London. Oh, no, it's actually out of Australia, Melbourne, Australia. So a meth addict pretended to be the police to raid another drug user's house.
Now, how stupid do you have to be to see your drug addict friend? I mean, I guess he must have been high. That's probably not a surprise. But you see your friend that you do drugs with all the time, I'm assuming, and they're in your house and they're saying, I'm the police. I mean, how high do you have to be to believe that story?
Yeah, according to the article I'm looking at here, the guy's name's Daniel Thomas. Didn't that used to be the Wendy's guy? No, it was Dave Thomas. Yeah.
That would be a little out of
character. I wish it was the Wendy's guy. Anyway, Daniel Thomas, he stormed the house in Melbourne's east suburbs shouting, "This is a police raid. Get on the floor face down. Where are your drugs?" Now, I've never been in a police raid. I think they usually preface it a little bit more than like 2 sentences before they're saying, "Where are the drugs? Give them to me now. And do you have any paraphernalia? I need to smoke this immediately." But it worked. They handed over their meth and their cannabis, and Thomas, who believed they were withholding some, he beat them with a hammer until they passed out.
As is regulation in these situations, just break out a hammer when the addicts are holding out on their drugs.
Hey, to be fair, this is Australia. We don't know what the hell they do out there. I don't even know if it exists. Anyway, since we are live now in the War On Morons studio, you can now participate. We've got a call-in number. It's 906-9099. And you're welcome to call in, give your take on the stories, or just kind of shoot the shit with us.
Yeah, once again, that's 813-906-9099. Oh, looks like we've got our first caller. Hello, caller. Thanks for calling in. Who are we talking with today?
Yeah, am I on the air?
You certainly are.
Good, because you need to hear this. Anyway, my name is Billy. I'm in Dayton, Ohio. And I think your show's fucking stupid.
Oh, okay. What makes you say that?
Well, because I'm listening to it. I've been listening for like 5 minutes now. All you've done is talk about a bunch of people being on drugs. I can do that at my house. In fact, I do that at my house. I do drugs at my house every day. I want to hear some cool shit.
So, to be fair, you're not interested in hearing about morons or stupid people. You'd rather sit and do drugs while we talk about violent criminals.
Oh, I want to hear cool shit. Like a week or two ago, you were talking about all these people getting their fucking beat down at Popeyes for some fried chicken.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, those were some great stories, and we've got some more.
So can you talk about it again?
Well, we can't cover the same stories again, but we do have some more stories coming up that you might be interested in.
As long as somebody gets their ass kicked, I'm down.
All right, well, I would suggest doing a heavy dose of those drugs, Billy, and buckle up, because we've got some good stories coming up for you. All right, thanks for calling in, Billy.
God, what was that guy's deal? Jeez.
He's apparently getting the party started.
I mean, it sounded like he was freaking high himself, but...
It doesn't take much. I mean, gives people an inspiration, and they take the wrong message from it.
Hey, what can you do? He's on it.
He's on it.
But we can hook you up, Billy. We do appreciate you participating. So let's see if we've got some stories of some violence, some action. Here we go. Florida story.
Love a Florida story.
I'm actually surprised Billy's not from Florida. So, Florida teen gets bitten while trying to kiss his pet water moccasin.
Well, I don't know a lot about native Floridians. I try to keep my distance as much as possible, but I do have to say, pretty unusual to have a pet water moccasin. I mean, I understand wanting to kiss your pet. I could get that image about, right? But keeping a pet water moccasin, how would you even get one of those?
Well, it looks like, and the guy's name is Austin Hatfield, 18-year-old from some hick town in Florida. He found the 4-foot snake on a trail by his house.
So this is a wild animal that he captured.
Yeah, and he on a regular occasion, it looks like he would kiss the snake, which he kept in a pillowcase, and I guess he took it to school and just kind of brought him out, showed him to his friends.
So he didn't even have a proper enclosure for this captured wildlife, venomous snake. He kept it in a pillowcase. So not only is he a moron, he's somewhat of an animal abuser.
I guess you could say that, but he got what he deserved. Boy, I wish. See, it's audio only. I wish you guys could see this picture. The guy's face is swollen up like. He looks like one of the people from the basket case video.
That's true. Yeah, he looks like a freaking cartoon. And hey, you know what? I was right. As the law stands, it is illegal to keep a water moccasin without a permit in Florida. What a surprise!
God damn it! Well, there goes my plans. All right, so we got another similar story. This is about a guy getting mauled by a fucking lion.
Well, the reason for getting mauled by a lion was a good reason, one could call it. He was trying to prove that God would intervene. See, the person who was mauled to death by a lion was a church leader. And so he was trying to prove that the Lord would step forward and come to his rescue to save him when he went up against a lion. Now, this proved to be very ill-conceived, as he had his buttocks and arm mauled by the lion when he ran towards the pride.
Well, yeah, and it looks like he not only ran toward... where the hell was this? This had to have been Africa somewhere. Okay, this was in Kruger National Park in South Africa. Zion Christian Church prophet Oh, he's a prophet. It's not just a priest. Alec Nidawane, he was on a safari trip, and he saw some lions who were eating an impala. So they were already, like, in the middle of a meal.
Never interrupt an animal when it's eating.
Well, he did. He jumped out of he jumped out of the Jeep and said, "Watch this. God loves me so much as a prophet that I can run up to these lions mid-dinner and, like, what did he do? Like, dance a jig or something? Christ.
Man, he's not much of a prophet. He must have gotten some wires crossed because things did not go his way at all. When he realized the Lord was not coming to his aid, he tried to run back into the car, but that didn't go quite to plan either. The lions bit him in the ass.
Oh, hey, it looks like we got another call. It's not that Billy guy again, is it?
I hope not. Hello, caller. Thanks for calling in. Who are we speaking with today?
You know who the hell this is?
I'm sorry, I don't.
Oh, God damn. I was on your show. I was on your first show. In the business show. That weekend. What the weekend on?
Oh, my God. It's Reverend Jackson.
Whatever the hell that was. It's Jeremiah. It's Jeremiah Jackson. Reverend. The Reverend Dr. Jeremiah Jackson.
Yeah, that's...
How you doing, Anita?
It's Anisa again.
I don't give a shit. Let me tell you something about this. This man clearly is if this man knew how the Lord works, he know you can't just run away when the lion bites your hand.
Well,
That's when you gotta stay. That's when you gotta start preaching the gospel to the lion. You gotta tell the lion to stop lying and to start being a Christian. You understand?
that seems like a much worse idea.
Oh, if it was me, if I was there in Africa, and if I saw the lion, I could teach the lion to dance.
Well, you know what? I think we should actually make it
I
a
could
point.
teach the lion to sing.
I think we should make it
I
a
could teach
point.
the lion to get up and shout hallelujah. Instead of a burn in here.
Well, you're going to like this, Reverend Jackson. I think as our first mission for the War on Morons to make the world a better place, I think we should raise funds to actually send you on an African safari because I think our viewers...
I'm all about that. That's my next point. I've never been to Africa. I need a little bit of money to do it. So I need everybody to call this number. And I call right now. And I need you to pledge your dollars. And I need you to pledge yourself. And I need you to reach down into your wallet. And I need you to give all the money you spend to send the Reverend Jackson to Africa. Show that the lions can be tamed and the lions can learn to read the gospel.
I think we're all going to enjoy watching that, Reverend Jackson. Thanks for calling in.
All right, you got my cash app.
We're working on it.
We're not actually giving that man any money, right?
I mean, I would love to see him get eaten by a lion.
No, it's clearly a scam. Jesus Christ. I mean, anyway, I'm starting to think we shouldn't be taking calls.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right.
Next story coming up, we have some thieves that were trying to siphon gas from a bus, but ended up siphoning sewage instead. What a surprise. It's kind of karma in a way, I would think you'd say, because at the end of the day, these thieves got exactly what they deserved. I mean, you tried to steal some gas, and I got to say, that probably left a pretty nasty taste in their mouth.
Hey, to be fair, I mean, you know, gas is getting kind of pricey these days. Other people's gas is free, but how the hell, what did they end up, was it like a septic tank or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, if you hook up to the wrong hose, you could get a pretty nasty surprise, and it seems like that's what happened to these two. You'd think they'd be able to tell the difference between a gas cap and a sewage line, but apparently not.
What I really like about this is the fact that it made the news. I mean, I think if I was in the middle of committing a crime and trying to siphon gas from somebody's tank, and I ended up sucking a bunch of shit down, I wouldn't call the police. What do they call the police? Yeah, these people made me suck sewage out of their septic tank.
Oh, God.
Arrest them.
I have a feeling that the police weren't too anxious to track down the stolen goods in this case.
What part of Florida did this one happen in?
It actually didn't happen in Florida, surprisingly. This actually happened in Australia.
Another Australia story.
Australia is the Florida of the world.
Jeez, Australia, you gotta calm down. You're starting to get a reputation. All right, so we've got speaking of places that are out of their mind. Let's go to Hollywood.
There we go.
All right, so a Hollywood exec suggested Julia Roberts. Oh, Julia Roberts, that's a name you don't hear enough anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, she was in all those like romantic comedies and stuff, like in the 90s.
I mean, she's known for being a great actress.
America's Sweetheart. Anyway, it looks like they were trying to get her in a new role. So the screenwriter of the new Harriet Tubman biopic,
okay,
he suggested that Julia Roberts would be a great Harriet Tubman.
Really?
Yeah. His name's Gregory Allen Howard. He's a writer and producer behind Harriet. He actually shed some light on the long journey the film had. I'm just reading the article straight. I can't do this straight.
I mean, it's pretty hard to believe. I cannot believe that anybody in their right mind who, knows how the world works and talks to people on an everyday basis, I have to assume this guy's been out in public before. How could he possibly say to himself, you know what would be really great if we got a famous white woman to play Harriet Tubman?
Yeah, the famous, I guess she was an escaped slave, and she helped people, escape slavery through the Underground Railroad. She didn't look like Julia Roberts.
Why don't we just go full 2019 and get Robert Downey Jr. to reprise his role from Tropic Thunder with a woman's wig on? I mean, I see no difference, right?
Yeah. Although, maybe they could have just put her in some blackface. That would have gone over well.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is pretty shocking that that's the world we live in, that somebody would actually come up with that idea.
I, for one, wish they'd done it. I think it would have been hilarious. But speaking of, there's actually someone that may have been able to play the role even better than Julia Roberts.
Really?
Hell, at least he's black.
Well,
Billy D. Williams.
Well,
Yes, Lando Calrissian.
he's a man, though.
Oh, no, he's not. So this is an article from Huffington Post, that wonderful publication. So, Billy D. Williams, famous for playing Lando Calrissian in Star Wars, he's come out as being gender fluid.
Okay, you're going to have to remind me what that means.
I don't really know what the hell that means, but apparently it means he thinks he's both a woman and a man. He's feminine and masculine. He's quoted as saying, "I never tried to be anything except for myself."
Okay, well, that's certainly nothing that anybody could point a finger at, but the man is 82 years old. Don't you think he should have figured this out just a little sooner in his life?
He's trying to get relevancy again. But yeah, he says he can call him, you can call him her. He's a woman, he's a man. He says he's a very soft person. He's not afraid to show that side of himself. He didn't show that side of himself in the frickin' 80s when he was a movie star.
That's for damn sure. I have to say, I think it's getting a little out of hand. At the end of the day, if you've made it to 82 years old, who the hell cares what you identify as? All we care about is what color casket you want to have.
That's a good take on it. I was just going to say, he probably drank too much Colt 45 back in... Apparently drinking malt liquor so much that they make you the spokesperson, that can cause brain damage. Don't do it, kids. Stay away from the malt liquor.
I bet it's just a ploy to keep his kids away from his will. He's going to claim that they're bigoted and transphobic.
Absolutely. Here's a story, as if we haven't heard enough about this guy lately. Michael Bloomberg.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
Mayor of New York. He's now running for president. I'm seeing his ads 20 times a day.
Every day.
So this was from the Washington Times. Mayor Bloomberg, the former mayor in New York, he's saying that he wants to raise taxes on the poor. I'm sure that's going to get him some votes. He says, raising taxes on the poor to force them to make better and healthier life choices.
Right, because everybody knows that living off of food stamps and welfare leads you to the most healthy life choices you could possibly make. Everybody who's doing that is doing yoga and eating organic. What is he talking about?
Now, this is a guy that tried to ban big gulps. So, yeah, he says he wants to raise taxes on, well, pretty much everything that poor people, the only things that they have to enjoy. Cigarettes, soft drinks.
I mean, it would be a lot smarter to just try and outlaw those things altogether, and probably you'd lose a lot less votes that way. But then again, I guess he can't fund whatever it is he stands for if he doesn't raise the taxes.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to have to worry about this guy for too much longer.
No, it doesn't seem that way.
What else do we have?
Oh, good old San Francisco.
Oh, well, that's a nice place.
Oh.
Beautiful city.
Oh, yeah, it's lovely nowadays, except for the fact that their poop problem is only getting worse. Yes, that's right. The incredible amounts of human excrement being found on the city's streets are now rising to such monumentous amounts that the complaints are soaring. I mean, where else in the country can you pay the highest level of rent? I mean, housing prices out there, have you seen them?
Oh, yeah. It's like $2 million for an apartment.
Yeah. Where else can you pay that kind of money to live and have to wade through human shit every day on your way to work because you can't afford a car?
Wait, is this even real? Okay, so between January of this year and November, San Francisco has seen over 25,000 complaints about human fecal matter in the streets.
They should get a hotline.
I think it's tied to the high real estate prices.
I mean,
I wouldn't want to shit in a house that costs that much money.
I mean, the gardeners out there must be really happy. Their plants must be coming in like nothing ever before.
Maybe people are trying to drive down the prices, so they're like going out there as a
renegade shitters.
Yes. Shit bandits. We will get these housing prices lower, even if we have to shit on the driveway.
Oh my God.
It's also a serious public health concern, so not so much of a laughing matter, I guess, but I don't live there, so I don't care. All right. That last story was kind of shitty.
Good one. Our next story is kind of interesting. So apparently there's a shortage of referees, especially for high school and youth sports. It's a big problem that's only getting worse. Apparently the parents are so unbearable, I guess you could call it, that the referees that they would normally have for these types of sporting events are no longer interested in putting up with it. So they're just running out of them.
Yeah, I've actually kind of heard stories like this for a while now. I played high school sports myself, like date myself, but it's been close to 20 years ago. And even then, I mean, some people just take it too serious, and like you see, like, my parents are cool, but you see, like, some parents, they act like it's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and if their kid does not score this goal, like, they literally will, like, kill the umpire. I'm mixing my metaphors.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say for sure that I'd want to be receiving death threats over some 7-year-olds playing tag football either.
Yeah, and have you seen some of these videos where it's just, like, all-out brawls literally at T-ball games? We're talking toddlers. They can't even, like, hit a ball that's moving. They're playing T-ball, and the parents are getting drunk in the bleachers and, like, fist fighting each other, chasing down the coaches. Like, it's completely insane.
Practically need to call the riot squad at that point.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. I mean, I wouldn't want to be a ref for that shit either. So it makes sense that they're having a shortage. Where was this, in Philly?
Looks like we're actually seeing it in, it's not limited to, but this story comes out of southeastern Pennsylvania and South Jersey.
Oh. Yeah, those are the people that threw batteries. They throw batteries all the time, like the Eagles games.
Oh, yeah.
They boo Santa Claus.
Imagine when it's their own kid on the field. Forget about it.
Oh, my God. Well, yeah, Philadelphia. I can only imagine.
I'm surprised they're not shitting on the field a la San Francisco.
Or that guy in Mississippi. You saw that the other day.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Oh, looks like we have another caller coming in.
Oh, great. What's the area code on this one? Is it Philly?
Looks like this one's actually out of Massachusetts.
Oh, even better.
Hello, caller. Thanks for calling in. Who am I speaking with?
Yeah, this is Chuck. It's Chuck Chicory. You know me.
Chuck, yeah, thanks for calling in.
Yeah. I thought I'd call and get my 2 cents on these fucking kids.
Okay.
I mean, I've been dealing with this. I've been in this business for a long time. Obviously, you know, I'm the mascot for the Chicopee Chicories.
The what?
And are you joking, man?
I'm sorry, I just didn't catch what you said there.
We were second place in the league last year. Second place in the New England Athletic Association. Chicopee Chicories. Baseball.
Chicopee Chicories.
Yeah. And I'm Chuck Chicory.
Chuck Chicory. Okay, go ahead,
Yeah,
Chuck.
Chicopee Chicories. Anyway, I have a lot of experience dealing with these goddamn kids. And I got to tell you, a lot of people, they think the parents are the problem. It is not the parents that are the problem. The parents, I mean, I'll give it to them. I'll give it to you. Sometimes they can be a little bit hard to handle. But these goddamn kids, I can tell you, it's the middle of August, and I'm in the stands at the ballpark at the Chickadees game. I'm wearing a heavy suit. I'm wearing this bird costume. It's 150 degrees in there. You understand?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't sound comfortable.
Degrees. I don't got any air conditioning or anything in there. I'm freaking pouring sweat. And these little bastards will come up to me, and they'll tug on my leg. And they'll say, Chuck Chicory, I want to get a picture with you. Chuck Chicory, can you sign my baseball? Sometimes they won't even ask. They'll just steal a picture. They'll get their stupid iPhones. Who would give a goddamn toddler an iPhone? I don't know. But these people do. And they'll take a picture of me, and they won't even give me any fucking money.
Well, Chuck, I mean, to be fair, it sounds like they're just kind of happy and excited to see you. Wouldn't that be part of your job?
My ass is what they can do. I work hard, and you think they pay me the kind of money? You think they pay me the kind of money that I need to get in order to put up with this kind of nonsense?
Well, when you took the job,
didn't
they cover the pay?
Oh, no. You have to understand. I got to supplement my income here. So it's $5 if you want to take a picture with Chuck Chicory.
Really?
You got to give me $5. Just one. Just a $5 bill. And I'm not asking the world. You know, you go to the ballpark, you know you're going to spend some money. You're going to buy a couple pops. You're going to buy an ice cream. You're going to buy the peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. But you don't got $5 for Chuck Chicory?
I mean,
these little snotty-nosed crotch goblins, they think they can steal food off of my plate.
Well, to be fair, I mean, they probably don't get much allowance. I mean, the $5 for a kid, it must take them a while to save that up.
It's $10 if they want an autograph. If they want me to autograph their baseball, it's $10. Because I know what they're going to do with it. They're not bringing it home to put it on their mantle. They're taking that and they're putting it on eBay. They're trying to get money off of my name, but I can't get money off of my own name?
Well, Chuck, why don't you just sign a bunch of baseballs and take a bunch of pictures of yourself and sell them on eBay if that's what you really want to do?
Oh, God, what do you think I am, the Philly fanatic? I don't got that kind of money. I don't got that kind of pull. I got to make my money in the ballpark. And these fucking kids, they really make my blood boil. I'm telling you. I get visions in my head. I'm not a bad guy, but I understand. I understand when I see the videos of the fights at the kids' football game. I understand when the parents got to go down and they got to beat the trash out of the umpire because he gets so angry dealing with these goddamn kids. I just tell you, I'm not a bad guy, but I want to take my Louisville Slugger. And I want to go Big Poppy on one of their goddamn heads one day, the next time they try to get a picture without giving me my $5.
Oh my God, Chuck Chicory, are you saying you want to, beat up a kid with a baseball bat?
I'll beat the trash out of a kid with a baseball bat, with the Louisville Slugger. I carry one with me. It's part of my get-up. I carry a Louisville Slugger, and it's a real freaking heavy bat. And one of these days, I'm going to break it over the head of one of these kids that comes up and grabs my leg when I'm baking in the hot August sun.
Okay.
I haven't done it yet, but I will.
Thank you for your call, Chuck Chicory. Clearly somebody at the Chicory Chickadees needs to run some serious background checks.
Chickadee chickadees. Get it right, you bitch.
Shut up, Chuck. Thank you for your call. All right. Well, that was interesting.
Look, I really think I don't know if we're gonna be able to keep having these people call in, because that was just unacceptable. That guy was basically committing crimes.
We're going to have to report him now. Like, this is just paperwork that we're going to have to do.
And who the hell? Chickapee Chickadees.
I have literally never heard
And his name is Chuck Chicory.
Look, I've heard of cornier things in baseball, but that was alarming.
I don't know. I think he said it a little too serious when he was talking about beating people in the head with baseball.
Yeah, that was
beating children in the head.
Yeah, children.
Because they wouldn't.
He missed the point of the story completely.
Jesus.
Unbelievable.
Look, I think on that note, I mean, we got to call it a day, because I honestly feel like we've heard from enough of you psychopaths, and we've covered enough idiots. I need a week to kind of recover from this.
No shit. We're clearly drawing some sort of interesting fan base here.
Jesus Christ. All right, well, have a good week. Try not to end up in the headlines, or this next show could be about you.